Hello, welcome back to Disrupt Your Norm. My name is Naomi Dunn, and today I'm speaking on understanding your own psychology, the good and the bad of it all. So, today I am just freeballing it, I'm just chit chatting. This is a subject that I feel very familiar with because I've spent so much time almost obsessing over my own psychology. So I know how it can be absolutely incredible for your life, but also can make things go downhill if you go about it in the wrong way. So, yeah, let's talk about it. So, understanding your own psychology is really important. It's really important for the relationships that you have, and if you have children in the future, how you raise them, and just the relationship you have with yourself and your general well being. It teaches you why you do a certain thing and possibly how to stop now that you know the answer to it. So that's why it can be incredible. If you're getting triggered by something all the time, and you don't realize it's actually from maybe a form of neglect or abuse in childhood, then you're just going to think you're a crappy person who's getting triggered all the time for no reason and reacts in a certain way when they don't want to, when in reality there's a reason for it. So this is the amazing part of understanding your own psychology, is understanding the reasons for the things that you do to then be able to change them. So that's amazing. And it's also beneficial because it helps you understand the people around you. Because when you understand yourself better, you actually find yourself understanding others better, because we're actually all so much more similar than you'd ever believe. We're all so much more connected than you'd think, and we're always usually going through similar things. Like, we're all just humans having this human experience, and it's not easy at times. So we've all been through things that are familiar. And so it helps you have compassion not only on yourself but on others. And that then prevents resentment, and it prevents future pains when you can understand the reasons why people do things. Because if you understand the reasons why you do it, then you're going to understand the reasons why other people do things as well. Understanding your own psychology is also like a protective bubble at times for maybe manipulation or getting hurt by other people, because you can understand if maybe you're more susceptible to it, if you're maybe more on the people pleasing side of things, or if you're maybe gotten used to being hurt a lot by people, so it's familiar, so you tend to get in very familiar situations. And when you can see it for what it is, some people think that, and I used to think that, when you keep getting into the same familiar situations, you have to go down this whole huge healing rabbit hole. I mean, rabbit hole makes it sound like it's a bad thing, but it's not. But this whole huge healing journey to never get yourself in a situation like that. Or you can kind of just decide. You can just decide, now that you see it for what it is, to notice the traits that you're usually attracting in people and deciding to stay away from those kinds of people. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy to decide that. You're obviously, the body's going to want to keep going back. But because you understand more, you have this protective layer of understanding to help you not go back like you used to. So there are amazing things to understand your own psychology. You can do that through a coach, you can do it through a therapist, you can do it through reading lots of books, whatever it may be. But there will often come a time of resentment when it comes to understanding your own psychology. And this is where it can be hard. And it's a period of realizing the reasons why you are the way you are, and who caused that for you, and why these things happened, and the true causes. And that's where a lot of a pain can immerse, and that's where a lot of potential resentment can build, and that's where a lot of difficulties can arise, because you're seeing that, okay, these qualities of mine were never my fault, but they were somebody else's fault. And that's when it can be really hard. So it's really common and it's really normal to go down this rabbit hole of just almost feeling more pain now that you've learned more of your psychology than enjoyment, and then joy and peace in life. But it's a choice. It really is a choice. In this period, you can choose the resentment route, or you can choose everything is happening for me route. The everything is happening for me route. So it's like, pain or peace. And some people will say you cannot choose the peace. You cannot. But it actually really is a choice. It's all about the perspective you have when you're healing. And it's really important to know this. Ideally, before you start learning about your own psychology, oftentimes it comes after. Oftentimes, the typical route that people take is diving deep into their own psychology, realizing why they are the way they are, and then feeling even crappier then than they were before by realizing who caused it, why they caused it, how it was messed up, how it was never their fault, etc. So it's a choice, like I said, resentment or peace. And something that will really help you to choose the side of peace, because sometimes we can't just say, okay, I'm going to choose peace, everything's fine, they hurt me, but it's fine. No, that's toxic positivity. That's suppressing, right? I'm never about suppressing the feelings that will come up once you realize you've been hurt by a certain person. You feel those feelings. But I'm talking after, the perspective you have and the choice you continue to live with after that. Everyone's doing the best that they know how. And hurt people hurt people. So if you were hurt by someone, it's because they were hurt themselves. And I know the way they hurt you could have been so extreme, and it's horrible. It's really horrible to think that way when you haven't healed and felt it. And I'm not saying you can instantaneously put on this perspective. It needs to be felt first. It needs to be healed first. It needs to be processed through the body first. But then it's up to you to choose it, because at the end of the day, if you're choosing the route of resentment, of anger and hatred, then you are adding gas to the fire. You are adding to a pain that was never supposed to be yours to begin with. And you are creating a pain that's much more painful than it should be. You're creating pain for a pain that someone else caused you when you're trying to heal it, but instead you're just making it worse. It's like someone gave you something crappy, and then you're deciding to just throw a bunch more crap on top of it. And it's like that doesn't change them, and that doesn't benefit you. It just makes the overall situation worse, and it makes your quality of life worse. Like, it really makes your quality of life worse. It decreases your quality of life by almost an immeasurable amount when you choose to allow resentment, anger, and hatred into your life. But you're choosing it. When you've healed it and you still decide to have it, you're choosing it. You are truly choosing it. You're adding crap on top of crap, and that's not yours to deal with. And what's the reason we do this? Well, we think that we're taking control over the situation. If we're angry, if we're hating and we're mad, it's like, okay, we're standing up for ourselves now because we couldn't stand up for ourselves then. That's what we're thinking. We're thinking we're taking control of the situation now by feeling crappy and angry and mad, and we're fighting for ourselves, when in reality we're just fighting ourselves. We're not even fighting or changing the other person or making the situation better. We're fighting ourselves. We're fighting our quality of life. We're fighting our own well-being. And the best way you can stand up for yourself is by choosing a better quality of life, is by choosing the path of peace. Because at the end of the day, what is standing up for yourself even for? It's for protecting your peace. It's for making sure that you are okay. It's for knowing in your mind and your body that you are worthy. So how could those things be accomplished if you're making a crappy situation even worse? If by making it worse, by amplifying it, by thinking a certain way, by having anger, you're not actually standing up for yourself when you're doing that. You are doing the opposite. You are neglecting yourself. You're neglecting your peace. You're neglecting your happiness. You're neglecting your well-being. So in reality, you're doing the exact same thing that the person who hurt you did. You're hurting yourself. You're putting yourself down. You're not taking care of yourself the way you need to be taken care of. And it's hard to hear this. It's really not easy. And it's not something I want you to ever bring yourself down for, because it's the most common response. We add gas to the fire when we've been hurt. We add shame to the trauma. We add all these things that we don't need to do. But it's because we believe we have to, but I'm here to tell you you don't. That your life gets to be better, that you do actually get to heal. There's nothing you can't heal from, and you can heal from this, and you get to choose peace going forward. You get to choose a better life. So that's what I have to say when it comes to the resentment that may come from understanding your own psychology, understanding your own traumas better. And the next thing I want to point out when it comes to understanding your own psychology is be careful to not allow it to turn into pride. Be very careful, because pride is something that also decreases your quality of life, and it creates this barrier between you and other people. It creates this disconnect from having relationships that are more authentic and being who you really are when you have all this pride inside of you. Pride often is a defense mechanism, because it's like, I've been hurt in this way, so now I'm here to prove and to show everybody that I am this incredible, wonderful person. But you can know that. It never needs to be proven to anybody. It just needs to be known inside of you. When you know that, it doesn't need to be proven. So when we feel as though we've been hurt so badly, we develop all this pride thinking, I need to show everyone I'm almost better than because I've never been treated this way, and I want to finally feel like I am. First of all, that's insecurity. Insecurity that turns into pride. And second of all, you will never feel good doing this. Ever, ever, ever. You will never feel enough, and the people around you will never prove to you enough, because you cannot believe it for yourself. And the way to combat this is knowing your worth, stopping yourself when you're realizing you're trying to prove your worth, and taking a minute in those moments to step back and be like, there is nothing to prove. I am a child of God, inherently worthy, inherently valuable, and inherently loved. There is nothing needed to prove. And of course, this can be a deep wound. Of course, there's going to be emotional healing that may come with it as well, especially if we felt really unworthy as a child. That can create this kind of pride later on, making us feel like we need to show that we are better than. And I don't even know if I want to classify it as pride. It's how you see it on the outside looks like pride, but obviously on the inside it is just insecurity. But to everyone around you, it's just going to look like pride. And that is not to shame you, it's a normal response, but it is your responsibility to take care of it, because it is affecting your relationships, your quality of life, and your well-being, because you're just constantly trying to prove something that you cannot prove, because it just has to be known inside of you. Alright, well, with all of that to say, understanding your own psychology is really, really an important thing. And we don't have to go into crazy depths with it. We don't have to know all the answers. We don't have to know all the reasons why we are the way that we are. Sometimes the simple answers can be the most profound and the most beneficial for our lives. And we don't need to know all of our trauma, but it is beneficial to know the basis of why you are the way you are. And maybe you don't even remember your childhood, or maybe you were adopted and you don't remember what your parents were like or know what your parents were like. But if you can just gather little snippets of information, maybe if there was snippets of potential neglect, snippets of potential abuse, snippets of potential excess shame, things like that will be indicators as to why you are the way you are now. And so that you can actually slowly begin to change the narrative and change your behavior, because you realize that, okay, that was then and this is now. I had this protective mechanism then, but I no longer need it now. Make sure that when you are learning about your own psychology, especially if it's difficult, especially when things come up that you didn't remember, that can be really hard on the body. Uh-oh, I don't know why that happened. I'm filming on my webcam. I've been having trouble with filming on the camera and the microphone. Anyways, you guys don't care. So that's why that thumbs up just happened. If you guys are on the podcast, a thumbs up just came on my screen, and I'm not sure why. Maybe if I put my thumbs up, it'll do it again. No, it didn't. Anyways, what I was saying is that can be really overwhelming for the nervous system. Really overwhelming for the body. If you're finding yourself just extra fatigued, if you're finding yourself with extra brain fog, if you're finding yourself more irritable, if you're finding yourself just not your usual self and you feel really stuck, this is where you may need assistance, you may need an inner work coach. This is what I help people with. This is where you may need maybe a therapist who specializes in calming the nervous system. Whatever it may be, want to go about it in a slow, compassionate and gentle approach, because it's not easy to go down a rabbit hole of things that you've been trying to avoid your whole life and now you're deciding to face them. It's not easy, but it's indescribable how worth it can be, and indescribable how worth it can be, and how it can dictate your life for the better, and the people that you choose in your life, and the relationships that you attract, and the decisions that you make for yourself. That's incomparable how amazing that can be for you. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's hard in the body, hard in the mind. It's not easy. So first of all, be gentle and compassionate with yourself. Speak to yourself like you are a child who is hurting. You would never yell at a child for hurting. You would never scream at a child for hurting. You would never put down a child for hurting. You would be gentle and compassionate. You have to do that to yourself, because you're realizing, or you will realize that it's just a child, and it's just the child part of you that was hurt, and that's why these feelings are coming up, and these responses in the body, such as the brain fog and fatigue and whatever it may be, is just protective mechanisms, because the body and brain thinks it's not safe to go there. It thinks that it won't be good for you, and that it's trying to protect you by creating these symptoms to take you away from it. So this is the time to be calm and to relax the body, and maybe do some breath work and relax your mind, and avoid doing anything overly stimulating, like spending way too much time on your phone or being around negative people, and potentially finding somebody who can help you with this, because it's a tough period for a beautiful future. So it's worth it, and be proud of yourself, and I'm proud of you if you are deciding to do that. Alright, so that's all that I have to say. I thank you guys, and I really appreciate you guys. Subscribe if you would like more information on psychology and inner work and just up-leveling your life in general. This is my passion. This is what I love to help people with. And if you want any more information about me and my coaching and what I do, my website will be in the description. And I will see you guys next time, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.